Hi, my name is Jeremy Novi. I'm here today with Artificial People, bringing you a little art and things, trying to keep you creative while we're all sheltered in place and stay safely distanced. Um, Stenciling is a tool that can be used for protest and several other applications. Today we're going to make a t-shirt. Um, and so all you need is like a few supplies. You need some spray paint, some spray mount, or some glue stick. You need some tape. You need a marker, preferably black, some whiteout, an X-Acto. You can use cardboard, or you can have a cutting mat. Cardboard is something you can find. You're going to need maybe a cereal box that's flattened out for the cardboard. A manila envelope works, or cardstock paper. So I printed out today an image of a water bottle. Right now we're probably really stressed. We have a lot of anxiety and a lot of things going on. And we got to remember that all we need to do is maybe just sit down, drink a glass of water, and rethink things. And it might be 10 times harder right now because of the odd situation than normal. But so today we're going to do a water bottle. So I printed out this image just off from the computer, just like a normal image. I didn't really have to use Photoshop or any computer applications, and then just printed it out. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a marker, and you're going to end up drawing all the contours and concaves on this drawing or photograph. So. So as you can see, I've started to draw all the contours and concaves of your photograph. This causes you to have a solid black line other than the photograph itself. As you can see, I completed the piece, and so we have the full black areas, black lines. So using the whiteout, we're going to want to create a dotted line. Stencils have to have a dotted line in order for them to work. It cannot be a continuous line. If it was a continuous circle, this whole entire section here would actually fall out, and we don't want that. So from our drawing, to create a dotted line, we just take our whiteout, and so using the whiteout, I've started to break up these solid lines and create dotted lines, and that way that the image doesn't actually fall out. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our glue stick or our spray mount, and we're going to adhere it to this cereal box. The cereal box works well. It's recycled. It's something you can find easily at your house, and you're recycling it so it doesn't go into the trash can. It just has to be kind of thin enough to work with. So I hope all of you are staying well and staying creative and active. Art is a very important tool for people that create it as well as people that view it. The act of viewing art is definitely a therapeutic thing for people that aren't even artistic. So I think it's important that we still stay creative and communicating using art and different ways. So as you can see, I've glued the image to this thin piece of cardboard. You can use spray mount or just regular glue stick, whatever you have around. It doesn't require a lot of supplies. This can be very DIY. Just kind of be creative and use things around your house that you have. So once we have the image on there and it's dry, so I've printed the image out. I've taken the black lines and I've drawn that. Then I've taken the white out and I've created a dotted line. So to add, I wanted to make this water bottle something more specific to Artificial People and kind of what's going on. So I also printed out their logo. So I'm not using Photoshop or any kind of tools. I'm just actually printing out the image to the size that I need. I then cut that image out, and I can just glue it on top of the image where I want it to go. This doesn't require any computer programs or a lot of skill. Just kind of really cut and paste. Very, very DIY, very collage in order to get the image that we want. And so we're going to have a water bottle that says Artificial People on it. And maybe right now the water bottle can remind us of those times dancing together at the dance parties and things like that. One thing that makes stencils really successful is when you take a pop culture image and you subvert it with something contemporary. So these stencils are kind of, this is a simple subversion, what's going on here. This one might be a little bit more complicated, but this should Cher as a cultural revolutionist, which some people may definitely see Cher as a very powerful woman figure. And taking these two images and putting them together to make a new conversation is what makes the stencil really successful. Another stencil that becomes very successful when you add two different images together is Paddington Bear and Migration is Not a Crime. So we have Paddington Bear, he's always seen traveling as a traveler, and we've now added these words that make it something more subversive, something more contextualized. This is not a political statement at all, but this is something very similar where you've taken an image and then you've added another image in it from a contemporary time, which is current right now, Artificial People, to create an image. So now we're going to cut this image out and yeah, so I hope that all of you are finding time to maybe do a little bit of dancing in your studio, finding some of those Zoom parties going on. Really just kind of keep your body going and in motion during these times, because I know I definitely miss dancing a lot. You know, normally I'm traveling the country. I'm an artist that paints murals and just goes around the country and puts up a lot of street art to create kind of a queer visibility with my imagery. So right now, because of COVID, I'm not able to travel, and so my work has been definitely cut in half. Being that half of my art and work is definitely about travel. So I find myself making things a little bit more now in my studio for myself. So you're gonna want to kind of practice. Definitely try to get these lines as good as possible, but you're gonna want to save each piece. And so if you've saved each piece, like this piece. And let's say you've made a mistake. And so if you can see here, I have now accidentally gone beyond the line that I wanted. Like I wanted this line right here to go upwards, but it went sideways. And so how do you erase? You can't erase with this. So what you have to do is you save your piece, you put it right back in there like a jigsaw puzzle, And then taking the blue tape, you're going to want to tape your piece back in there. You might want to tape it from the back, that way you can still see the image that's on the front. And now it's back in there, adhered. So then what you do is you just recut it. Be careful not to cut a finger. The X-Acto was actually invented during World War I by a German physician as a surgical tool. So be very careful with this. It's definitely made to do some bad things. So as you can see now, I've fixed that line, and the line goes directly up, whereas before it went out. And the piece is there. It's just like kind of taped back in there and refixed as like a solid. If you're going to be working on letters, like this one has letters, it's really important for you to practice them if at all possible. An A can, an R can become a P, a B, or other letters just by one small little nudge. As you can see, this is an R here, but if for some reason I did not have the two legs go down properly and it just went straight across, it would appear as if it was a B. So practicing your letters is really important. It took me a number of years to get my letters good, but now as we have time to sit at home, we may have time to practice a little bit more. I've been trying to stay busy by doing some different collaborations with some places, and I started this thing here in LA, Let's Paint the Town, with ArtShare LA, trying to get different street artists out there working, making art, and putting images on the boarded up buildings and storefronts throughout LA. And so that's been making me feel good and kind of giving back to the community and trying to keep art alive in LA in that aspect. So as you can see here, I have now cut out the full stencil. And you may want to like turn it around, and if you look at it from the other direction, you're able to see everything much clearer than you can this way, because it still has some of the photographic image. And so sometimes just turning it around can help you clean up some of these lines and make these lines a little bit more crisp. Just kind of working from both sides on that aspect. So for this, we're going to make, now that we've done our first layer, we're going to make another layer. It's going to be a simple kind of 2-layer stencil in order to have like a blue color for the water. So what you're going to want to do is you're not going to want to like start back from the original image. This image has since been altered because you drew on it and because you cut it. So now if you want to do any further layers from here, you're going to want to work from the stencil that has been cut, because lines are different. So you're going to want to put it down and spray or trace with a marker to create the image that we see here. But you're going to want to kind of keep some of it separated instead of being one solid piece. I've created a white area. As you can see here, this is disconnecting the cap from the base of the water bottle. And having things kind of separated instead of one solid definitely makes it more interesting, the image more interesting than just kind of a solid shape. So I'm using kind of an X-Acto. It's like an X-Acto 1. It's a thicker X-Acto than some of the X-Actos. They're definitely more thin. You can add a rubber grip to this if you end up cutting stencils a lot and you want something to make it feel more comfortable in your hand. Just add like a little rubber grip to it. It works well. Change your X-Acto blade often. And please, dispose of your X-Acto blades safely. If you just throw them into your recyclables, someone may stick their hand in there and cut it. Tape it between two pieces of tape, and then throw it away, or actually put it in a sharps container. That's actually best. So there, as you can see, we now have the shape of the water bottle. That will be the underlayer to this. It'll then go over top. Now we could have just gone directly to a printed out drawing of a water bottle other than just the image, but I wanted to show you how you could take any image and then turn it into a stencil without having to computer. So now we're going to actually spray it onto a t-shirt. So yeah, stenciling has been a tool that's been around for a really long time. 10,000 years ago, Aborigines first blew ochre onto the cave walls using their hand as actually a stencil. Later on, Leonardo da Vinci used it when painting the Sistine Chapel. He actually did drawings on paper. Him and his assistant took a pencil and poked dotted lines and then put it up on the fresco, and using a rag probably filled with charcoal or coal itself, dotted it up there to create the dotted line. So I'm going to put a piece of cardboard between the shirt itself. That allows for the paint not to actually go through to the other side. Stops it here. Otherwise, you kind of end up with an image that has it bleeding through on the back. The image I've created here has good around it. It's really important for you to have like a border that kind of goes around the whole entire image. Overspray. Overspray goes beyond the image. Underspray is when it goes under the stencil and it causes everything to be cloudy and you can't really see it that well. So the first thing, we're going to figure out a good area. Usually not the center of the shirt, usually up a little bit higher works best to do the placement. Sometimes if it's a brand new shirt, it still will have its creases from the packaging in it to help you find a good center. You don't want to get a rest or a band to cover your face. You may want to use rubber gloves to protect your hands from the paint. I find that I'm able to in the shower and it works fine. So when spraying, it's best to think of yourself as actually a printer. And you spray kind of one direction and stop, come back, spray another direction, stop, come back, and spray. It allows for the paint to go down more evenly, distributes it well. You don't want a lot of spray paint on this. I know it sounds weird, but you're going to want to try to get as much of the spray paint in here and not all over here. Of course, it is a mask and it protects the garment or whatever you're spraying because of that. But if it gets all wet and stuff, you're only going to be able to do one or two sprays of it, and then you're going to have to stop. So once down, it may take a little bit for it to dry. Sometimes you can just like fan it. We are making a shirt, but there are other things you can use your stencil for. As you can see, I have a face poster. you cut it out, and you paper and stick it up on walls or on any surface. You can also use it to create cards, something more simple, pieces of art, and yeah, it can update some furniture, your wardrobe, a number of things. So now we're going to take the water bottle and we're going to place it over top of it. And so we're going to want to make sure that like it's even on both sides. As we put this down, we can see through the sides. And if we put it over too far, we're white. But if we have it lined up, you're going to be able to see blue on all of the sides. And so you're going to want to line that up. If you don't line it up, you end up with an image like Andy Warhol paintings, the Campbell's soup can, and maybe the effect that you're going for. But for this, we're just going to line it up evenly. Again, spraying a little bit in one direction. And there we have it. Artificial people water bottle. So I hope that all of you are able to take this simple, very DIY, very simple, very I hope you can take this and find a way to apply it in the future. The act of out there, enjoy some sunlight, whatever, and drink water. Thank you.